Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for having this hearing. Admiral Haney, thank you for our earlier conversation and for being here and for your service. We earlier touched on, but I'd like to explore a little more, in a little more detail, the fact that we are going to be purchasing weather information from China and Russia for weather over the Indian Ocean, including some CENTCOM areas like Afghanistan. Do you have any concerns about purchasing potentially sensitive information that would go to our warfighters from China or Russia?
Congressman, thank you for that question. As we look to the future, I have concerns that we have enough diversity in our capability so that we are not dependent on one particular country that may not be there to support us in the future. And I think we have to be very careful with that. So I'm supportive of the efforts that are ongoing now, particularly in the weather, which we depend upon, all the combatant commanders depend upon for our maneuverability and capabilities. And I know there's some work ongoing here relative to U.S. weather satellite capability.
Do you know what the dollar amount is that DOD is asking for in the President's budget for that purchase?
I do not. I will have to. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Mr. McKeon, would you happen to know that?
Sir, I don't know the dollar figure. The Defense Meteorological Satellite Program, the last satellite, is funded and it's expected to launch, I believe, next year, and it's fully funded. I don't think we have any problems with it, though there may be some final numbers in the 16 budget, so I'll have to confirm that with you. There's a follow-on program that we're working on. It's not a program of record yet that would come online in the early 2020s, so we don't expect there to be a gap. I'm not familiar with anybody planning to depend on the Chinese or Russians. So.
Okay, well, we'll have to dig a little further into that. Maybe I could follow up with a question for the record.
Certainly.
And lastly, Admiral Haney, we talked some about New START Treaty, and I have real concerns about it. I think it has many flaws, one of which is the fact that Russian tactical nuclear weapons were not included in the treaty at all. What concerns do you have about the tactical capabilities in the nuclear weapon field for Russia?
Well, I have concerns that Russia has a number of non-strategic nuclear weapons in their arsenal, and they also have modernization programs associated with them, as well as I'm concerned about their violation of the INF treaty with the ground launch cruise missile system that they've been testing.
And I guess I do have a follow-up. I was just given some information, Mr. McKeon, and I'll just read a key takeaway that the Air Force supplied this committee. DOD currently does not rely on non-allied international sources for environmental data, but may be required to do so as early as 2017 due to EUMETSAT's recent decision not to replace Meteostat 7.
Congressman Lamborn, I'm not an expert on space. I'll be the first to admit it. We have a very capable DASD for space. I spoke to him about this issue in the last couple of days in anticipation of questions in this area. I've conveyed what he's conveyed to you, so we will double check whatever briefing from the Air Force is that you have and circle back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. What